Kicking It with Sensei, and today we're joined by Warren Ho of Rivonia Kendo Club. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, Rivonia.
Rivonia. And would you like to give the audience a little bit of background into your martial arts, Warren?
Yeah, I think I started martial arts at a very early age, around about 8 years old. I was sort of exposed to a lot of Asian or Hong Kong kung fu movies, so that sort of influenced my sort of martial arts development, if you want to call it that. So I always grew up thinking that martial artists could fly around and do amazing things, jump on trees and balance on swords and everything like that. It wasn't until I was in university that I took up the martial arts very seriously, and I started off with World Taekwondo Federation Taekwondo, so Taekwondo WTF or WT as it's called now. Had a phenomenal instructor there by the name of Scott Crowder, who's actually based in the UK now. But yeah, it took me under his wing and gradually, fell in love with the martial arts thanks to his instruction. So that was my sort of first exposure to, serious martial art. And then subsequent to university, I dabbled in other stuff, things like Wing Chun, Hapkido, and then Kendo came along. And again, it was through someone Crowder's influence that we did Kendo. Initially, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was kind of stupid people hitting each other with sticks and, in armor. So I didn't quite enjoy it. And consequently, he actually broke my finger during training the one day. And I said, no, that's it. I'm going to stop Kendo forever because I broke my finger because of, training this stupid martial art.
Yes.
A year later, I decided to try it out again. And I quite literally fell in love with it because, again, the instructor there that taught me, a guy called Tony Hughes, also based in the UK now, who's gone back to the UK. Also, his passion for Kendo sort of rubbed off on me, and Kendo's been what I've stuck to. Even though I've had quite a different other martial arts like Krav Maga and Sistema, I've tried Tai Chi, tried a bit of Kung Fu and Shaolin, tried a whole bunch of other martial arts, but eventually it was Kendo that sort of stood the test of time, and I've stuck with that.
Excellent. And what do you think the benefits are of training in a martial art?
Well, I think any martial arts has the benefit of, most people talk about martial arts and getting discipline and focus. Those things come with the training of the martial arts. I often tell my students things like discipline. It's just a matter of getting to the dojo or to the dojang. That's discipline. Once you're there, it's pretty easy. It's like going to gym. Once you're on the road, getting on the road to the gym is the hard part. Once you're at the gym, you've got the blaring music and people exercising around you. That's easy. So discipline and focus are two of the definite benefits I sort of get from the martial arts. But also things like being able to express myself artistically in a very physical fashion. I think martial arts gives you that, being an art, being able to, and it doesn't necessarily have to be violence. I think that a lot of people associate martial art with being violent. It doesn't have to be in a violent way. You could actually perform very violent techniques in a very calm and meditative way.
Yeah.
For instance, the Iaido that I do, we use a steel blade and eventually a live blade, a katana, but you do very violent movements in a very calm and meditative way, obviously very focused way.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of benefits that come from doing the martial arts. I think those are just the surface level ones. You get things like the physical body obviously benefits from the exercise.
Yeah.
The mind benefits from being focused and disciplined. And I think eventually your emotional and spiritual side benefits as well, because you're able to calm yourself down and be more mindful, be more grateful, be more in the zone and in the moment. And that for me, leans more towards the emotional and spiritual development that martial arts gives you.
Yeah. So do you believe that martial arts is good for the mental well-being as well as the physical?
Absolutely. I think the mental part comes in later. This whole analogy of body, mind, and spirit, and the unification of body, mind, spirits through the martial arts. But you have to first have some coordination or some mastery over your body first. If you think about your first day in whatever martial art you're in, whether it's karate, kendo, taekwondo, wing chun, you've got to get the mechanics of your body working first in the right way. You practically have to learn to walk and move your arms again. once you've got that physical aspect there, then it's the mental aspect of being able to do it without thought or being focused in it. It's quite a duality there. So the mental aspects absolutely helps. There are different mental benefits from doing the martial arts as well.
Excellent. And what do you think the mindset of a Kendo practitioner would be?
So the
mindset.
The mindset, right?
Yeah.
Look, I think Kendo's ethos is all about development of character through the principles and application of the Japanese sword. So I think that on its own is quite a bold statement. It's not about sword fighting. It's about developing your own character through using the principles or applying the principles of the sword. So the mindset of Kendo is not about fighting or fighting an opponent. It's about fighting your own inefficiencies within yourself, your own negativities, your own ego, for instance. There's a lot of personal development that happens in Kendo. So the mindset is never about what's happening out there. It's about how are you internally reacting to what's around you and how are you managing that. I think that's a good mindset to have for Kendo.
Excellent. And what do you feel you've got in life outside of training due to your Kendo practice?
What have I gotten out of my life?
Yeah.
Okay, look, I think from the very obvious ones is obviously the physical benefits. Kendo is a very cardio intensive martial art. There's a lot of cardio work. You need to have some level of stamina and flexibility and to a point strength, but not so much. But it is one of those martial arts that you can do all the way till your late 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Our oldest sensei, who's passed away now, was 90 something when he passed away, and still very active doing kendo. So for me, my benefits have been physical as well as from a mental perspective, helping me get focused and disciplined. And again, the emotional and spiritual development that I get from doing kendo in the long run.
Yeah. Excellent. And do you have a favorite part of training? Do you prefer the sparring over maybe the more mental
Yeah.
aspects of the history or philosophy? What would be your favorite aspect of your training?
Yeah, I think kendo is multifaceted. It has a lot of aspects. There is the calm, meditative kata portion of it, and then there's the fast, dynamic sparring or keiko portion of it. Both has its time and place. Both form part of the kendo journey. We have to be active in both at all times. Then there are, obviously different sections of it. The refereeing, for instance, for matches, the grading practice, the Suburi and the Kihon, which is just self-practice. So there are a lot of facets. And then obviously there's the self-study in terms of extra reading and, sort of learning, getting into the philosophy of Kendo. I don't think I have anything of my favorite as such. I think what's nice about Kendo, it is all encompassing. Everything is interrelated. And for me, it does feel like a complete martial arts for me as a person striving for personal development and improvement.
Excellent. And what advice would you give a young student interested in joining Kendo and kind of trying it? And
Yeah. Persistence. I think Kendo, out of all the martial arts that I've done, and I've done quite a few, only has really 4 different strikes. You strike to the head, which is called the men, the wrist, kote, the door, which is the torso, and a thrust to the throat. It's four techniques that you have to learn for an extended period. And for a youngster to do that, it can be quite boring. I do think it's the number one, it's the tenacity of the youngster, which will be important, but also the skill of the instructor to keep them, to build up that sort of momentum so they have that fire within them for the duration. But for youngsters, just to have tenacity and just keep doing it, in the long run, there are definitely all those benefits, both physical, mental, and spiritual and emotional that you can get from Kendo. But that only comes through hard work and training, even though as redundant and repetitive it may seem.
yeah, I think martial arts has that aspect to it. Really, it's just everything should be practiced repetitively over years to kind of really get perfection on it. But
Absolutely.
it's definitely. And did you have any role models growing up in the martial arts? Anybody that you looked up to? And
Okay, so look, I think obviously, in terms of role models, I think there are role models that I look up to but have never met. I suppose Bruce Lee would be one of them, as I think any martial art. I think Bruce Lee more so because he's Asian, number one.
Yeah.
And for some odd reason, my dad used to have a photo of Bruce Lee in the photo album. So I used to think he was like a family member. And I was like, wow, we have this famous guy in our family photo album. It turned out to be a newspaper clipping. My dad also had sort of a really high admiration for him, that he put him in the family album. But anyway, Bruce Lee was definitely one of them. My initial exposure to Bruce Lee was obviously through his movies, and then later on through his writings and through his books, getting to really know the man and his philosophy. And then subsequently, getting to work on a TV series called Warrior that was inspired by Bruce Lee and executively produced by his daughter Shannon Lee. So being part of that, he's been a big role, inspiration from a martial arts perspective. That's obviously from a person that I didn't meet in person, just through his writings. But the actual people that have been inspirational in my not only kendo journey, but my martial arts journey, I think I've mentioned him already, Scott Crowder, who was my Taekwondo instructor, and Tony Hughes, who was my kendo instructor. Both of them were, again, instrumental in lighting this passion for the martial arts and passion for kendo in me.
Excellent. And you mentioned there you've practiced a lot of different martial arts and cross-trained. And is there any martial art you've seen out there that you'd like to sort of give a go and try that you've never ventured into before?
Yeah, look, I think honestly, I would love to do Tai Chi, believe it or not, in a more serious fashion. As much as I've dabbled in it, and I've done some Qigong exercises. Tai Chi is one of the martial arts that I would really like to have, pursue going forward. Number one, I think it has a lot of benefits from a health perspective. And number two, I sort of feel like I'd like to connect with my Chinese culture through the martial arts and through Tai Chi. It has a very deep connection to the Chinese culture. And I feel that I need that as I'm getting older, I need to reconnect with sort of my Chinese roots as such.
Excellent. And finally, Warren, how can viewers find you online and find out more information about you and about Kendo?
Yeah, so very easy. You can go to our website. It's www.rivoniakendo.co. We're quite active on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. We do have a YouTube channel that's we have a growing membership base, not as nice as we'd like to, but we'd like to do more things on the Rivonia Kendo Club website and Instagram. And it's not just Kendo, we focus on two other martial arts as well, which is Iaido and Jodo. And then for me personally, there is a website that I run, warrenho.net, www.warrenho.net. And that is I do eventually want to become some kind of life coach, sports coach, something like that. And that's something which I'm still working on, but that will be on my personal website, warrenho.net.
Excellent. And I'll put links to all that in the description. And thank you very much today, Warren, for coming on. It was a pleasure meeting you.
And you, Sensei Emmett. Nice to meet you as well, finally in person.
That